portion of this page?
Excuse me. The top image shows the ribs after I remove them from the soft tissue and the vertebral column. What the image represents is the ribs laid out in anatomical order. So you always display things as if someone is looking at you. So the ribs on your left are the Mr. Guy's right ribs, and the ribs on the left are his, well, you see them. The ones on the right are his left ribs, and the ones on the left are his right. So it's difficult to see, but there are red dots that are on the bones, and those red dots are in places here, 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 here. And these areas represent sharp force injury on the bone. And probably some other places as well. Those are areas where there are sharp force injuries to the ribs, and they represent, again, areas that are damaged. Down towards the bottom of that image, the cut-off pieces were performed at autopsy. That's part of the procedure to look at the organs. So the ribs are cut down towards, and that would be the front part of the chest area, so that the organs can be removed. So that has nothing to do with the report as far as trauma is concerned. But what that represents is the area primarily in the back region that received sharp force trauma. The image below is a computer-generated picture of the chest region from the front view on the left and the back region on the right. And what it represents, again, are areas where there are cuts. So to look at that, there's sharp force trauma in the areas that are red. So here, 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 here. Again, that you can see on by looking at it from the front. When you look at it from the back, which is what this picture shows, it demonstrates other areas of trauma that are primarily in the back region. So you can kind of see, and they're all in the back. As I said, you're just looking through on the image of the right. So this, again, is just a computer-generated picture that shows where there's sharp force trauma to ribs.
So do any of these diagrams illustrate fractures to the ribs?
Not so much on these. The fractures to the ribs would be up in here in the first image. There's some breaks up in here. There might have, I think there's another one over here. Now, by fracture, do you mean a complete slice, or do you mean a blunt force?
Either. You can describe the difference.
Okay, well, the blunt force would be from associated with a fracture line, which is part of pushing and then eventually breaking. So, yeah, there's a few of those as well.
I'm going to move on to the third page of the report and ask you if you can discuss what these images depict.
The clear bottom left.
Okay, so what these images show, starting at the top left, that's the right fifth rib, then the top right is the right sixth rib, and then the right sixth rib are the middle two pictures. The right seventh rib is the bottom two pictures. So what I did was I selected certain ribs that were characteristic of the different types of trauma. So in starting at the top, what we have, what the arrows represent, and they're somewhat difficult to see, but there's an arrow here and an arrow here and one in the middle. And those three arrows show two different types of damage to the ribs. The ones on the periphery or lateral demonstrate breaks or scrapes where a piece of bone was popped away. The one in the middle is like a cut. So it has a cut with several linear lines to it. But again, talking about the superior border. The other is the right sixth rib, and this is a slice that is somewhat deeper, and it has a piece of bone that is actually pushed up. So what it means is that the weapon kind of twisted or caused the piece of bone to work its way up. The middle two pictures demonstrate a complete popped out region, meaning there's sharp force trauma along the edges, and then the central region has been removed because as the blade was lifted or moved or twisted, a piece popped away. And the other image here is just a superior view of that, showing the region of damage. At the bottom, we see some superficial nicks, but again, many of them that demonstrate a variety of different depths, again, on the superior border of the rib. The area, excuse me, the image on the right shows complete severing of the rib from where it was embedded into the vertebra. So every rib is embedded in the vertebra, and that shows where there's been a complete slice that has separated the rib.
I'm going to publish the full page if you want for it and ask you if you
Okay, so the picture at the top is the right 8th rib. The picture at top left, top right is the right 9th rib. And then the middle pictures are the left 7th rib. The picture on the right is the left 10th rib. Okay, so looking at those four, again, what they're demonstrating is a variety of cuts. So in looking at this, we see a cut in this region, and then turned on end, a different rib, we see a slice that goes down, a little bit deeper. Okay, but they both show kind of where you have sharp force and then a kind of a moving away of the bone. I guess a good analogy might be a frozen stick of butter and how you stick a knife through it in pieces. If it's frozen, pieces will pop away or will move accordingly. Bone's a little bit more of a complex tissue than that. The two middle pieces kind of show the same thing at different angles, an uplifted piece of bone, and then a complete wedge of bone that has been removed. Again, the whole idea was to document the different types of sharp force trauma that impacted the ribs in the whole instance. The bottom three images demonstrate the 11th rib, and what they show is breakage. There's a slice in this region here, and then there's another slice over here.